Hi everyone, my name is Haley and welcome back or welcome to my channel. For today's video, I thought it would be fun to share with you guys how I like to annotate my books. I know annotating books is a pretty controversial topic and I actually used to not like doing it either, so I think it will give a good perspective on someone who used to hate it as to now being someone who loves to do it. There are definitely different levels. You don't need to go from not writing in your books to only writing in your books. There are a couple of different ways you can annotate and I'm just going to share those with you and show you how I like to do it, and I have some books as examples as well. The first tip that I have is only annotating if you want to, not because you think you have to. So I know a lot of people see annotating from an academic point of view, and it can kind of feel weird to annotate books that you're reading for fun. And if you really aren't into it and it's not something that you want to do, don't feel like you have to, because it's not really gonna help. It's not gonna make the reading experience more enjoyable for you. So if you know that about yourself, I don't know if this is going to be a helpful video, but I would appreciate it if you stick around and watch anyway. So let's start with supplies. First, obviously you'll need some tabs. I think this was a bag of 50 and I got it on Amazon. And then I also have these highlighters. They are by the brand Aloha Aster or Aloha Aster. I'm not exactly sure how to say it. Comes in 5 colors. I think they have different packs, but these are the colors that I like. And I love these because they are pastels and they don't bleed into the page behind the page that you're highlighting, and I will also show you examples of that. But these are really great, and I tried to get colors that would correspond with the tabs. And then also you can get these types of tabs, so they have a straight edge and then you can like put them in a notebook or something, and they have all different colors. I got these because I thought it could be fun to annotate to match book covers, so that's why I got these ones. They have a bunch of like gray ones, a bluish green theme, green and brown, blue, this like super colorful one, purple and blue. This is like this is dark academia in my brain. And then this is also dark academia in my brain, and then like this whole pastel row. I will try and link these below if I remember to do that when I'm editing. And then a bonus supply that you can have is like a pen, but I actually don't use pens, so I don't really write in my books. I highlight my books. So you can also have a pen. It's great to have these straight edge tabs if you want to like underline stuff like that. You don't need a lot to get started, and I am going to show you the different ways that I like to annotate. The first way that I like to annotate is just with tabs. These are the tabs here. There are 7 colors, and each color that I have in here corresponds to whatever I'm highlighting or tabbing. So pink is going to be for like love or relationships. Orange and yellow are interchangeable for important plot points, because if the book is really long or there's a lot of important information, I can actually go through these pretty fast. Green is for moments that I find funny. Blue is for emotional moments, and then this light purple right here is for like my favorite lines, and then this dark purple is if there is a lot of characters being introduced in the book. I use it to label when they are introduced and like the first time that I see their name. The first way I will annotate is just with tabs. I won't go in with a highlighter. It's literally just tabs, and that can be with books that, one, I don't know if I'm going to love them, so I don't want to put any markings that I can't take off just in case I want to donate the book or get rid of it. And the other reason is if it's a book that I know has a lot of moments that I want to annotate. So for example, when I went back and reread the Shadowhunters book series, and I'll use City of Glass because it's one of my favorites, I was not going to go in and highlight every single thing because look, I put a lot of tabs in here. But I had previous knowledge from reading this already that I would be tabbing a lot because it is my favorite book series. So as you can see, there are a lot of orange and yellow tabs in here for plot points. There are a lot of dark purple for when different characters get introduced. A lot of green and blue because these books just put you through the ringer. And then there's like 2 or 3 pink tabs in here. So as you can see, I don't know if it's focused or not, a lot of tabs. So it would kind of be really tedious to highlight everything that I tabbed. When I do annotate and tab my books, I make sure that I put the little marker, the little tab, like right where the line is or whatever I want to remember. That way, if I don't have it highlighted, I still know where it is. It's not just like on the top of the page, it's actually right where the line is. Another book that I did that with is Dune. There are a ton of dark purple and yellow and orange tabs. Like, look at this page right here. There are so many things that I think are important to the plot just on these 2 pages right here. So that would be very tedious to go through and highlight. Look at this. Dune, I think, is a special example because there is a glossary in the back, and so what I had done for words that were mentioned a lot and I didn't want to keep flipping back and forth, I like wrote it on a sticky note for myself on the page like this. That way I wasn't writing directly on the book and I could take it out if I wanted to. For books especially like City of Glass or a long series and Dune, there is a lot of information that happens in these books that is probably easy to forget if you're not rereading them all the time. So tabbing for books like this is really helpful to me because if I want to read the second book in Dune but I don't really want to read the first one again, I can just flip through all of the plot tabs and it's like speed reading the book. It's very helpful. So if you know you're getting invested in a series and you don't want to forget what goes on, I highly recommend just doing the tabbing portion of annotating. Take a shot every time I say tab.
Julian!
The next way that you can annotate is by combining these 2 items. So as you can see here, there is purple, pink, peach, a brown, a green, and a blue. So if we were to try and find any matching colors here, there is purple, so I would use this purple for either my favorite lines or new characters. Since we have 2 different purples here, it doesn't matter if I use the same purple here because this will differentiate it. So then I would use the pink highlighter for the pink tab, this light beige color for the yellow, this brown one for the orange, and then green for green and blue for blue. If you want to use highlighters and tabs together, just make sure you try and find ones that are similar or just like make up your own key in your mind. I usually tend to highlight if I'm reading YA, fantasy, and sci-fi or a romance book because usually there's not a lot of plot that I need to remember, so I'm not worried about all of the different orange and yellow tabs. I mean, it depends on the YA books that I'm reading. Like again, if it's a series, I'll know that I probably won't highlight, but if it's a standalone or a romance book, usually I only use a couple of tab colors. So as you can see with Things We Never Got Over, there's a ton of pink and a lot of green, a couple purple for my favorite moments, and then 1 blue tab for emotional moments. And so you can see here I highlighted it as well, and it's really not a dark highlight color. And then if you turn the page, you can't see the highlighter through the page. So these highlighters are great for not bleeding. And then here's another highlighted portion. There is a decent amount of tabs in here, but this book is so long that they're pretty spaced out, and so I would just go in and highlight it. It's nice to highlight for romance books because they do make you like so giddy and happy, and so I just love to remember moments like that and go back and look at them again if I miss them. There are also times, like this is one of my favorite books as well, No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai, and I have 4 tabs in here, even though I gave this book 5 stars. And so I feel like even if you love a book, you don't necessarily need to feel like you have to annotate it. Even this book with a really deep message about what it's like to just be a human and what life means and all of these thoughts that we have when we're living in this world. It's a very profound book. It gets you thinking a lot, but again, I didn't really tab it that much. And that could be for one of 2 reasons. This is a Japanese fiction book, so sometimes maybe the translation, it makes sense obviously because it's been a translated work, but I don't feel the need to highlight it because I feel like it would be more impactful obviously in the native language of the book. Or the whole thing is like impactful, so not one line really sticks out too much, if that makes sense. And it also just depends on the genre of the book. Romance is going to have a lot more pink tabs and highlighting, whereas something like literary fiction, I might only choose a couple favorite lines, or if something makes me laugh or cry, not so much genre-based tabbing, if that makes sense. So this one I had 4 favorite lines and then one thing that I found funny, but it's still like one of my favorite books. So I guess I just want to say, don't feel like you need to tab the hell out of your favorite books. It's not about what book you're reading, it's about like what you find important. So it can be your favorite book and you have 2 tabs, and it could be your least favorite book and you have 50. It doesn't matter. So just go in with an open mind and don't feel like you need to put a tab on everything or you're not like doing it right. There is no right or wrong way to annotate. I am just sharing with you how I do it and things that I think will be helpful for beginners. Then the last thing is these guys here. I actually just started using these with this book, Life for Sale. I'm using these colors, and I chose these colors because it matches very nicely, but obviously, as you can see, these are completely different colors. I mean, they're not completely different, there are still some in the family, but it's just not as easy as this. So when I was picking this, I just made sure that if I wanted a green, there was a green. If I wanted a blue, there's a blue, a purple, a pink, an orange, yellow, you know, you get the gist. There is the same color family on here, so I can still do the system that I have for this specific sheet. But for example, let's say I choose this sheet that just has blue and 1 pink. I could use this for green, I could use this for pink, but then these are all blues. So what I would do is probably just pick something that, I don't know how to explain this is how my brain works, but if I wanted orange, I would go for the least dark blue, because orange is like one of the least dark colors on here, if that makes sense. So maybe for orange, I would choose this one down here or this one right above it. Orange and yellow could be interchangeable here. And then we have the green, the pink, any blue, and then for purple, I would probably choose the darkest blue because purple is the darkest on this. Does that make sense? It makes sense in my brain. I'm not the best at explaining things. These are all gray except for these 2 down here, but they go in varying shades. So again, these would be the pink, and then the lighter shades would be orange and yellow. The shade down from that would be the green, the shade down from that would be blue, and then the darkest shade would be purple. Because in my brain, pink is like the brightest and then purple is the darkest. I don't know if that's just because that's the order they are on here, but it makes sense in my head. So if you have a whole color system like me, just try and adapt it if you're trying to use other tabs, or you could create a whole new one. It doesn't matter. But those are all of the tips and tricks that I have. Those are all of the supplies that I use. If there's one thing you take away from this, I would highly, highly recommend getting these. They don't bleed and they are in such pretty colors, and then I would also recommend getting these. And it just is really helpful for someone like me who forgets a lot or reads the first one in a series that just gets released and has to wait 6 months to a year to read the next one. And I don't want to go back and reread it. So if you struggle with that, I would highly recommend if you wanted to start annotating. I know people love to write in their books, but I sometimes hate the way my handwriting looks, so I am not going to go in and like write in my books with the chance that it's going to look bad. That's why tabbing and highlighting is so easy, because there's no way to make it look bad. It's just always pretty. And I don't feel like annotating takes me out of a story. It actually helps me remember because I am actively highlighting it or tabbing it, so don't feel like you're gonna get taken out or like it's gonna distract you. I think it's really helpful, and sometimes I enjoy reading more because I am doing another task with it. I know it's hard sometimes to just pick up a book and read if you're not in the mood, but I feel like annotating, it's like, oh, I'm doing work. I don't know. That's just how my brain works, and it's helped me so far. So let me know if you guys like to annotate your books, if you have any of these supplies, if you have your own color system, like tell me anything. I would love to know, because maybe I can use some of it to adapt my own annotating skills. But if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. I hope you are all staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!